Now, yesterday was the kickstart of, or marked perhaps, as the country hosted the Sustainable Blue Economy Conference in the Kenyan capital, or Nairobi for that matter. And President Uhuru Kenyatta did officially preside over the ceremony which happened at the KICC. A lot to discuss in terms of the global community now converging in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, with regards to the sustainability of our water bodies and making use of the Indian Ocean, Lake Victoria, the rivers, lakes, and for the dignitaries who attended, of course, will be carrying that respective message back to their home countries. For that discussion, though, I'm joined by Isaac Wabuga. He's political commentator. Shortly on set will be Richard Ooko, who is already in studio to also be part and parcel of this conversation. Isaac, thank you so much for making time on the program.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, I just want to be going to straightforward with regards to the conference which yesterday started at the KICC, and the reality is that according to analysts, the global urbanization development across the happenstances across the world normally is driven from the investment made in the seas. And with regards to the recent launch of the Coast Guard service by President Uhuru Kenyatta, how does it act as a supplement with regards to now Kenya gaining from this important conference which brings together international players in Nairobi?
Firstly, let me say that co-hosting such a mega convention alongside the giants in this industry, such as Canada and Japan, enhances the Kenya's position when it comes to the matters of the world. And the Sustainable Blue Economy Conference is quite critical to this country because we happen to have a lot in terms of the maritime opportunities that the country have. But for the longest time, we had never taken full advantage of it, that had seen degradation, pollution, and even some of our big water spaces being inhabited by what do we call them, the sea plants, like Lake Victoria, the hyacinth and Lake Victoria.
Okay.
So the president moved towards pushing for this conference is quite timely, and this one portrays a position that the government and the country at large is fully committed to the deliberations that are going to come out of this conference. And two, playing a pivotal role in this then enhances Kenya's position when it comes to the thematic issues that will be discussed, and going forward, the opportunities in terms of funding that will come along in matters of funding the blue economy. And the opportunities here are immense. If Kenya positions itself, then this is going to be yet another frontier that this country can fully exploit and leverage on the opportunities presented to be one of the world best in terms of the blue economy.
The most important aspect of this important conference was that the takeaways for Kenya, and in particular the nations that are attending the important conference, among them, of course, the other heads of state, Uganda Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President Mohamed Abdullahi of Somalia, and other heads of state, including representatives from Japan and Canada, who have shown the goodwill to support Kenya and the global community in terms of playing that crucial and important role. But now, coming to the important aspect here, I just want us to pin down topic by topic, and starting off with the fishing production in the country. We recently saw President Uhuru Kenyatta expressing concern about importation of fish from China into the country, yet there is the Lake Basin region in Lake Victoria, the sea. And you imagine the dwindling in terms of the fish production in the country, and now we are at 26,000 metric tons. The target was 300,000 according to analysts and people who have closely studied this particular issue. How well do we need to benefit a lot in terms of now expanding on making use of our available water resources, tapping and making investments into this to ensure that it does sustain us and also have the chance to export this out of the country in being part of the global market?
Now, let me start by saying that the various economic treaties that we engage in as a nation should be scrutinized before letting them, before signing the dotted line. Why do I say this? Because some of these engagement, like what the economic treaties we are having with China, that has actually opened up the Chinese to export fish into our country. Yet we are also presenting ourselves as a country that has the potential to do this. And this one, the trickle-down effect of this then is hampering that fishermen in Homa Bay and on Lake Victoria and in Mombasa from getting the right opportunity to be able to sell off this his fish locally. So this one has been an issue, and to a point where the president has come out to say, why can't we come up with classical stories like this fish that came from China are rotten, so that we protect our local industry. That should not be the case, and such comments are unfortunate from the head of state.
Okay.
What needs to be done is that we need to empower the local maritime institutions. One, by designing a well-crafted curriculum through the maritime school that will address the emerging issues. Why, for the longest time, we have had all these water bodies around us? Why are we not among the best in terms of fish production? Well, that is one. Secondly, how can we leverage when we go into partnership? How can we leverage into other countries who have already grown and who are now giant in this industry to learn from them the best practices that as a country we are able to exploit and take advantage of, so that we can also have a comparative advantage in fish production in our region. And thirdly, another key issue then comes in is that what policies are we drafting towards food security? Remember, among the key pillars, the four big agenda is food security. And key about food security is that the eating habits don't change overnight.
Okay.
You see, if our eating habits do not change overnight, then why then are we not investing in these key industries that then will be able to propel and sustain this country in terms of food production? Why? Because if at all we are able to fully support and bring in constructive reforms in this industry around food security. And this will mean that the blue economy will play a very integral role in addressing one of the key agenda 4 of food production and food security.
And definitely that will boost up the country's food production despite the problems currently witnessed by the backbone of the economy, the Ministry of Agriculture in the country. We are joined for this discussion by, as I earlier said, Steve Owoko, political commentator. Thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate your time. I now want to start with you on this particular note. And what's there, or what's very clear, is that 2/3 of the global waters lie beyond national jurisdictions across the globe. It means that they are shared by sovereign states because they do, or many countries do share same coastline, for instance, or perhaps the large water bodies that's around the world. But equally, the most important aspect that President Kenyatta did raise during the opening speech was to build on and expand institutional governance mechanisms to ensure that coordinated management of the blue economy. Now, that alongside what the other dignitaries are going to be taking up as their tech out points, how does it lead to the creation of infrastructure for Kenya to be, in particular, the host nation, to benefit so that we can tap on the vast available resources in the country so that we can be blue as the theme of the conference?
Okay, let me begin by saying that the international blue economy in Kenya itself, that has being the first one in this country, if you look at it critically through the intelligence eyes, you see that Kenya is on sale. What is happening, that Kenya owns about 20% of the world tuna. And along the coast, of the Kenyan coast, which is 200 kilometers and 230,000 square kilometers, we have the possibility of gas and oil. And that is why at times the international community was pushing the Somali government to claim the territorial waters of our country. But that one they saw was not going to work. So what they have done, they are using now what we call soft power, by convincing us now that now we can come in another way and control those waters. So what we are going to see, the agreement that is going, I'm part of that meeting, the agreement that we are going to sign is we are going to sign a concession to the international community to control and to exploit our country. The truth of the matter is that Kenya is losing about 10 billion shillings annually in illegal fishing alone. Now, when you go to the side of the Pacific, the countries like Canada have already exploited those areas. They have demarcated all the places, even to Antarctic Sea, the Southern Sea. Now we have a problem with the China Sea. Now the only place that is still intact is along the Indian Ocean. Now these people are coming here to get a concession. That's why they're spending over 800 million shillings to convince us. So after we have signed the concession, they are going to have the exploitation rights. At the end of the day, believe me, Kenya is not going to get as much as we are being told. When the deal is good, think twice.